Well, he appeared in 6 conference championship games, 2 Super Bowls, both with the Patriots, 2-time Super Bowl champ, 11 years in the NFL. He's always been a friend to our show, and we have encouraged him forever to get into broadcasting. Logan Ryan, who last year when Hufanga got hurt for the Niners, came over and played for San Francisco. So you are making an announcement. You did on Instagram, and your announcement, Logan, is...
Today I'm officially retiring from the NFL and hanging the cleats up. Yeah, but I feel like it's the time. 11 years, great career. But, you know, I look at it in a way as a father and a husband, like my goal is to win championships, and I was able to do that. My goal is to financially secure my money, save my money so I can live with it for the rest of my life, which I was able to do. So the last couple seasons, I was in a position where I didn't necessarily need the money in order to pay the bills or so I was in a position that very few people get to in life, and I was grateful for that. So now I'm negotiating things and looking at things like what's best for my kids, what's best for this, what's best for that. And obviously last year playing for San Fran was best for me, but I think at this point it's best with walking away healthy, physically, emotionally, and mentally, my head on straight, and ready to be, you know, a father at my kids' games and ready to maybe do some TV, do some broadcasting there, but make that schedule work in my life and really spend some time with my kids who I've sacrificed all this time to build a great family, build a great house, build a great career for them. But now it's time to spend more time with them. So
let's have some fun. The best defensive player you ever played against with, the best defensive player you ever saw, and why?
Okay, we were talking about this a little earlier. I definitely think Ed Reed is the best defensive player. When I came in the league and Ed Reed was Ed Reed at Baltimore, I think Ed Reed is the best defensive player to play football. It is so hard. I know we're going to talk about the pass rushers and Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White and all these guys that get Defensive Player of the Year every time.
Right.
But it is so hard in that secondary position to find those angles, to dictate the game as Ed Reed did and score as many points as he did, his size, his speed, his ability to be in the quarterback's head, his physical ability. Obviously, with him and Ray Lewis, I mean, they brought a championship to Baltimore. But I think Ed Reed, if you really look at his numbers and what he did, especially in my generation of football, he's the best defensive player I've ever seen.
So Bill Belichick is largely viewed, Tom Brady told a friend of mine this, that he views Bill as almost a different level of defensive coach. The league has obviously pivoted to offense, which makes it more difficult for all defensive coaches, Tomlin, Pete Carroll, Belichick. But if I was saying to you, give me the 2 things, Aqib Talib had some interesting thoughts on this, and they were so interesting. The 2 things about Belichick that separated him from even the other great coaches you had.
I think that would be the accountability across the board, as well documented his ability to treat Brady as much as he treated the long snapper, his ability to coach the long snapper is his ability to coach the quarterback. Like he could watch a play in live time, swing his whistle at practice, blow his whistle, correct me at left corner, correct the left guard, and correct Dante Hightower at the linebacker. All in live time. Like that is a savant, that is a genius, and know all those positions and then say, oh yeah, go watch Ty Law did it. I coached corners, and whatever, 20 years ago. Go watch how he did it. I want your hand to be here. And he can tell the center what to do. So he knew every position on the field and how to coach. He's a great teacher, and he's a great historian of the game. And the next thing would be his ability to take complicated schemes and simplify them for everyone to learn. He took very common sense things that I would think. We're going to double DeAndre Hopkins every single play. And we're going to take him out the game. I don't care if you're Darrelle Revis. I don't care if you're Aqib Talib. You're getting doubled. Or we'll put Darrelle on number 2. And Logan, you're doubling him every play. I don't care about your ego. I don't care how bad you want to take him. We're going to double him. And you and McCourty are going to have him high, low in these situations and inside, outside on these situations. Because if we take him out of the game, not only does that help us win, but it takes their flow out of their offense. It takes 14 targets. Now the quarterback doesn't know where to go 14 times with the ball. Now it takes their explosive. It takes their top third down threat. It takes their top red area threat. And I believe in my 4 years in New England, we got to fact check this. I don't think we allowed 100-yard receiver. And we won a lot of games. So I sometimes play on teams where I'm like, why are we not taking this guy away more? Do we just think our guy's better than their guy? It might be, but why are we leaving up to that? Why don't we assure that we take him out the game? Because it's going to disrupt the flow for that offense. And offense is all about flow and timing and chemistry. Why not pick them up full court like they're trying to put Caton Clark up full court, right? Why not disrupt the timing?
So you had Kyle Shanahan this year, albeit briefly. Is the culture, because that's a physical culture, and he's an offensive coach.
Yeah.
What was the difference between a New England culture with a great defensive coach and San Francisco with kind of a legendary offensive coach?
I think they're very similar. I think Kyle reminds me of Bill the most of any other coach. And I played with Vrabel as well, and Vrabel did a lot of things like Bill. But I think Kyle's ability to make the offense, as complicated as it is, as many plays they have, simple for these guys to get the playmakers the ball in space. And really the key to San Francisco is like, I'm going to scheme up ways to get all these guys that we drafted space with the ball. And I teach them to be physical runners. No one in San Francisco ever runs out of bounds. You'll never see them run out of bounds. They always cut back. You have to hit them to run out of bounds. They finish runs. They get so much hitting yardage, extra 2 yards, extra 3 yards. Kyle says, I treat second down like third down because if you get a first down on second down, that is a third down. I don't want 3rd and 1. Finish the run going forward, right? So his physicality of approach is what Bill was doing for our team. Patriots teams were physical teams. The 49ers are a physical team. He's doing it with the runners of the football. And I think he does that very simply for all these guys to highlight their strengths. Another thing both coaches do well, they take their players, they draft them, and they use their strengths generally pretty well. They don't say, oh, Debo's not a traditional X receiver. He's not going to work here. They're going to work the offense to work with Debo. They're going to work the offense to work with Jaron Jennings. And also, if you're a young player, watch how those receivers block, which is why I think Ayuk's worth all the money, because he's a great route runner. He's great before the catch, after the catch. But go watch him block 70 yards downfield. I don't see other receivers doing that.
Hey, by the way, Brandon Ayuk, you guys make fun of me when I say top 5 receiver. He may not be Justin Jefferson over the top. That kid is and he fits their culture. So go back to the Super Bowl. Years ago, Logan Ryan, for our radio audience joining us, he's retiring officially today and will be pivoting to broadcasting. Love to see him here at Fox. Is that years ago I was watching Michael Jordan in the finals against the Suns. And I was sitting with a friend who was a college basketball player. And I said, he didn't have the best shot. He didn't have a ton of range. He's not the greatest ball handler. He's not the strongest guy. And I'm like, it's so easy for him. There's 1,000,000 guys in the world. Why? And when I watch Mahomes, a lot of it's cognitive, the ability to see something and get the ball there. But when you are against him in the Super Bowl, are there mannerisms, idiosyncratic things? Are there things that you look at and just think, that's different? What is the it beyond tremendous arm talent?
Yeah.
Very creative. So is Matt Stafford. But when you defend him, are there things that you're like, you tell your grandkids, like, it was different?
Yeah, he's got this willingness to not give up on any play. Like, he's not obviously the most mobile quarterback in the league, but he might run for the most first downs. Like, he just finds a way to get the first down. He fights for every play, right? And they have great scheme. Andy Reid does a great job adjusting all game.
Yeah.
That helps. But he's obviously an accurate passer when you give him time. He has a huge arm when you give him time. When you don't give him time, he ends up extending plays. And it's just a marathon with him every single snap. And it's going to usually come down to the end. Most of his games have come down to the end, and he's obviously very confident in the end there. So I just think it's just his ability. It's the ability to never be out. And that's the Tom Brady effect of, like, no lead is kind of safe because these guys are never out of it. They believe so much on winning. Those guys just believe that they're going to win, that they find a way to continue to put themselves in position no matter how it goes to kind of find a way to close it out. I think that Super Bowl went down, obviously, to the wire there, and 5 quarters of football, tight football, and it came down to a few plays at the end.
So Caleb Williams, the comp has been Mahomes. And one of the things with Patrick that was really noticeable to me when Tyreek Hill left is that he's taking now layups. And going back to Jordan, I've said, everybody loves Jordan and the tongues out and the switching hands. 26 of his 29 points, 26 of his 32 points were on mid-range jumpers.
Yep.
Michael, you gave him the jumper, he took it. Mahomes now, what makes him more lethal is that you get the occasional upside, but he'll be death by 1,000 cuts, and he's totally satisfied. As Caleb Williams comes into the league, he got Andy Reid to get him out of that. Caleb's got a defensive coach. Would you worry about a wildly gifted quarterback who can lean into the spectacular? Can you coach some of that out of him?
Yeah, that's always the hard thing, is like the things that make him special. He's got to have an ability to play in the system and then go be Caleb Williams. And you can't overthink that. And I think Mahomes from day one came in like, I'm playing like Mahomes. I'm throwing these moon balls. I'm putting them up there. When they had Tyreek, it was a different offense.
It was.
Right? And now I think Patrick's gotten better over the years and adjusted. Guys have put a too high shell on him. You're not going to throw it over our head. Now he's got to take it. And I think he's gotten better at that, Mahomes, taking what the defense gives him. Caleb Williams is going to have to take what the defense gives him. I think that's why they brought a Keenan Allen in to give him those intermediate, give him that third down guy to just take what it gives you. If they're running zones here, but yeah, we're going to need you to do some of that spectacular because you might not have the best online play. We might not have the best team around you in the league, but, you know, we might be developing a new scheme for you here. So you're going to need the magnificent, but yeah, you're going to need your bread and butter. I think Keenan Allen's that addition for him.
Tight ends you faced, wide receivers. Keenan Allen gets a great way to put it. He's the classic third down receiver, not the fastest guy, the twitchiest. Were there players in your career, a tight end, a receiver, that that you'd watch them on film and the audience, the fans, the media didn't appreciate them, but you hated facing them?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I always document that's I mean, I just don't think people understand how great Larry Fitzgerald is. It's always Larry Fitzgerald for me because I'm a guy that's really smart. And if I'm not going to out-athlete you, I'm not going to out-athlete a lot of receivers. I'm going to outsmart you because my thing is I got to figure out where the ball's going, and I got to beat you to that spot. So I don't care what route you run on air. I don't care what route you run on one-on-ones. I don't care what route you run in flag football. When it's 3-by-1 and you're at this spot, you only have 3 routes, and I've seen them on tape. That's just what your scheme is. That's just the amount of plays you have in your playbook. So I'm going to play those 3 routes so you give me something else. And I'm going to play it every different way to give you different looks, and I'm going to play it. Larry Fitzgerald does that on the offensive side. He runs a route, lets you cover it, and then on third down, he runs the same route and sets you up. He blocks you every single play. He runs all his routes out of a tight split, which is hard for corners. We're uncomfortable. Some guys are uncomfortable in the slot. Brings you kind of in the slot, and he blocks you. Now he's coming to block you, and he swims you because he blocks every play. Like I was talking about Ayuk. These receivers that compete every play, I don't know when they're taking a play off. I don't know when it's run or pass because they're coming off hard every game. So they kind of mentally wear you out. And when any receiver, I don't know if it'll ever happen again, has more career tackles than drops, which I don't think that's probably the greatest stat I've ever heard, right? That shows you the consistency. Even when you cover him, he's still going to catch the ball if it's near him. Larry Fitzgerald has more career tackles on interceptions for his team than drops.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so
I didn't know if Google even kept that. It's remarkable. So now
shout out to Larry Fitz.
You're going now after this today. Tell the audience where you're going because I think the NFL does this and it's really cool.
Yeah, so the NFL is hosting a broadcast boot camp out here in LA, and they identify some of the guys that they think will be good on TV after or would want to maybe be on TV, and you get an invitation. You have to apply if you want to, first of all, and then you have to be accepted. So it's only a handful of guys, and they give you training with the top people behind the scenes, the top producers, the top speech coaches. Your job's not easy, what you do. People probably think they can hop up in your seat and just talk sports, but there actually is something behind it, right? And you have a speech therapist telling you stop saying and which you never even thought you said, right, till you watch yourself back. So you kind of go through all this coaching, right, to get you ready to broadcast a game, to be an analyst, to do the difference between radio. When you're on radio, you can't say, did you see that play right there? No, they didn't see it, right? You have to explain that. When you're on TV, it's different, right? So they kind of teach you these things, and it'll give you an audition and stuff, and just kind of coach up the next crop of talent coming out that might, that you might see calling a game, or maybe where they help, they find the McCourty twins, right, to hop right to TV and do so well, right. Or Greg Olson, right, who hops right to TV and does amazing. Romo, who changes some of the landscaping of calling. So that takes practice. The guys can't just hop in these analyst jobs and just do it off the whim. Even though we've played, we still need some coaching in your world. So it's kind of stepping into your world.
You remind me a lot of Greg Olson, that about 3 to 4 years before he was going to retire, he had an interest, and he dabbled. He was still a football guy, but dabbled. But I think one of Greg's strengths, and I think it's one of yours, is the ability to watch something that's complicated and simplify it. So what you see Belichick doing is what a great player does as a broadcaster. It takes the complicated and makes it simple. Because, most of us, I quarterbacked in high school, so I could diagram a play. We had a very simple offense. I'm a very simple guy. But by and large, most fans, if they didn't play football, couldn't even diagram a play.
Right.
So you can get lost in the weeds very quickly. But I think Greg and you do a good job of taking this. There's a lot of layers to stuff.
Yeah. I mean, football is a sport, I say all the time, it's the least taught sport in our country. It's just, I can go to the YMCA with some of my boys and run a pick and roll on the court. If I told some of my boys run an NFL football play, they have no idea what I'm talking about, right? Because
I know.
Most people don't play after high school.
That's right.
Some don't even play in high school. And then there's nowhere to play football once you're done playing football in high school. You don't go to the park with your boys, get on some pads, and go tackle each other. There's just nothing you practice ever again.
Right.
So you forget it. You lose it. You don't know it. And NFL is so complicated with the play calling and the coverages. And I talk about some things. My wife looks at me like, huh? What are you talking about? So I have to simplify things to people so, for them to get it. Not that they don't know. It's just that they haven't been taught it. And I've been living in it for so long. So how can we simplify the game for people? I always have an example of people ask me what the difference of playing corner and nickel is. And I say, okay, because I've done corner and nickel. I've been third down, I was a nickel, and then first time out at corner. What is that like, Colin? What is the difference of that? And I say that's like a corner's a shortstop, the best athlete, he's a born shortstop. A nickel's a second baseman. Other side of the base, I don't see too many shortstops go to second base, but some do. Right? They get older, they go to second base, whatever. They understand how to work together. Then I move to free safety. What's free safety like for you, Logan? Because some corners go to free safety. That's like going to center field. That is a completely different position. Your eyes are different when the batter's out there. You got to track things from way different. I'm looking at the quarterback and the whole formation as opposed to that corner. I'm looking at one little small thing on a guy. So my vision every play is very different. When I explained it to my wife, who's a college softball player, she understood what I was doing when I said I'm switching positions. That's not as easy as going to nickel. It's a completely different thing. These kids have played their whole life, and that's why they're great safeties. But I don't see a lot of safeties going to play press corner the next year. You can't do both, So that's why it was kind of cool playing all those positions and trying to attack them. But I got respect for all three of those positions. They're all very different positions.
Logan Ryan, making us smarter. You'll hear more from him. Great seeing you as always, man. Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.